Okay, so this Venus, it really has a prominent effect. It's in Aries. That impulsiveness guides or sets standards for his Taurus sun and for the Mars over in Libra. That's the end of his bucket that he's trying to do. Okay, let's go to his sun. Okay. Aspects. So I didn't put the aspects to the ascendant into this, but his sun is in Taurus in the 7th house of relationships, and it's conjunct Uranus and sextile Neptune. So his past is confusing. The Neptune squares his moon, but it's not affecting his sun or his goals or his purpose. He's very clear and very down to earth about how he responds to other people. But in his response, there's a need to be individual or unique in his response, to have a shocking or exciting element of Uranus to the sun in a Taurian way, some shocking excitement, some shocking self-worth, some shocking values around the 7th house of relationships. His shocking value around relationships is how he could see how everything had a sexual connotations, how even kids had a sexuality of wanting something and going for things. So there's going for something and getting something, or getting something, not getting something, reacting, being angry, putting out. He just was clearly tuned into it because he had this balance really strongly in his life. But the sun, the Uranus affected his Mercury, but also affected his sun. He really saw a different take on it. He saw it in a different way on how you can still be free or be independent, how it would be how you can't get totally lost in just following the passions of others. Still, there's the need to be satisfied. There's still need to have choices, to have things one's way or not. And this whole foundation of relating to people around this issue and being able to have ideas that are unique to people who are stuck in various patterns would come up here. His ability to be the innovator, the innovator, Uranus conjunct the sun, is purposeful innovation around relationships. How to innovate relationships, how to break through old blocks and old structures to see it new, to free oneself, to be able to rate more clearly. Pretty practical. But at the same time could be threatening for people that are stuck in fixed patterns. In his days, society was very fixed, and in very fixed patterns, very colonial, Christian, or colonial, religious, fixed things of what one could do or couldn't do. Society had a strong point, yet he did not fit into exactly the society, but he had his own take on things. Exciting. It's interesting. Like, it would be very different each. This is where the sign has such a strong influence, because it's coming through Taurus, through Venus, through independence, through what do I want, what do I value, and I value something. I value a certain amount of freedom and independence in relationships. Whoa, that's the opposite of I value bondage and guilt and dependencies and expectations. So the Neptune to the moon builds up his sensitivity to expectations, but his moon in Gemini is going to run away from expectations. He's not going to want to be smothered. These things fit together, so you can see his insightfulness, his nature. It really works. It's really being, you can see how he came to his perceptions or insights, and how he would be useful to other people and helpful to other people. He could see instantly who was getting what they want, who wasn't, who was being repressed, and how they might be able to find their freedom and get out of the old. So he certainly had a catalyst. The sun Uranus is the catalyst. He had a catalytic purpose to shake up the nature of relationships, to wake it up. He certainly did that. People hated him for it. The concept that even kids could have sexuality and be affected by this, that it came in from parents and stuff like this, was radical in those days. It was like people could almost get killed for that. That would almost appeal to his Venus in Aries, in the 6th house. Pluto's there too, so you can see the power struggles. We'll get to that. Okay. See, there's always a tendency to jump around, but you still want to hold course onto one planet at a time, mostly to stay focused on it, to get the sign, to the effect of the house, and then see how the aspects work around that. Now, this sun opposes his ascendant, opposes his identity, but it's enough to see it just as reinforcing the ascendant, the seventh house in relationships and being unique and radical, and helping other people change their relationships in a way that makes it better for them. Okay, now time. Okay, we're good. So if you can go through these things, you just take your time, you look at it, have fun with it, enjoy looking at it. It's not tedious to do. It's like meeting someone. It's not a tedious thing to meet someone. You ask some question, you look at this, you see about this. Oh, we're going through all our checkpoints from each planet to each planet as we meet people. Everybody does it. So even though we're following a very definite structure of how we're doing this, and of all the factors of planets and sounds, we're not getting lost. We're just taking one step. We're navigating across this ocean of meaning to see what we have. Now we're going to look at Mars, the planet of sexuality. Well, Venus is the planet of being sexually satisfied. Mars is the planet of doing what you feel you have to do, making things happen. We know from his new moon phase, he's trying to start new things, his own new things. We know from the pattern type of the Mars at the handle, all his energy of his ideals of this independent freedom is being pushed out through the Mars. He's pushing out his energy out to the Mars. Okay, so that Mars is really strongly accentuated already in his chart before we look at it. Now, so we're expecting this, and you see that Venus is, his choices of what he wants is ruled by Mars. He's assertive in what he wants. He wants to fight for what he wants. He's going to make a statement for what he wants. But his Mars is in Libra, indecisive, balanced, harmonious Libra. It's not a strong place for Mars to be. His Mars is sensitive to relationships, to sharing. So he's inclined to push things about relationships, push things about sharing. This weakens the Mars. If this Mars was in Scorpio or was in Aries, it would be just blatantly pushing. But it's not. It's in Libra. It has an indecisiveness to it. It has acting on the ideas. The cardinal is cardinal ideas. It's acting on the ideas of Libra. So when one has an idea that is valuable, Venus ruled, shareable, Libra, wow, when people like what he's doing and want to do, he would be there to do it. But if he's doing things and someone took offense or he hurt someone's feelings or someone thought he was too aggressive, this would bother him. So it weakens his Mars. The Mars is in the 11th house. So this need to do things for others or be appreciated by others or to be valued for what you're doing. It gets put into the 11th house of friends. There's a need to affect one's friends, one's peers. So if he became the psychologist, he would want to do things to affect his peers in a way that improved their values or their evaluation of things. So he would tend to force his evaluation on his peers or to make presentations to prove his sexual theories, to prove his values to his friends. So when he wanted to, he would, yes, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do this. He would do it, come to this workshop. Yes, I'll go to this workshop. He would drive to do it. He would work very hard to live up to his fellow psychologists, his peers, his contemporaries. He would work very hard to maintain that social position. And on the other side, you could say that social position would make many demands on him, positive and negative, that he would have to respond to and try and respond to. So he'd have to answer for some of those things. He'd have to speak up and present his ideas to people who might not even like what he's saying. So he had a mix between who he liked and who he didn't like. But relationships and friendships were stormy. They had that Mars there. They weren't that easy. But his ability to push, to know. So one way, this is his pushing out to prove things to others. At the same time, it's in the 7th house, in the 11th house. Everyone, the team is conspiring to make him do things. He has to live up to this. You're part of a group, you have to be part of it. You have to live up to it. You have rules, you have things to be involved with other people. There's a lot of time demands that comes in being involved with people. So he's putting it, he wants to make his ideas known so other people can see them and be affected by them. Not everybody else wants to be affected by them, but they're going to be interacting with him. So he'll have people that really like him and people that hate him. That's the Mars. But at the same time, it's the sexuality of, can you be lovers and friends? You know, it's an interesting puzzle, this Mars in the 11th house. But they need to be part of a team, part of a group. To do things in teams or group or in consensus is very strongly there. Yet his nature is so independent, he's not part of the group. Yet he's trying to do things like he has his own insights. He could be the independent counselor. Like if he became the astrologer, he could be his own astrologer, but he became the psychotherapist and he wanted to do it academically and prove his uniqueness academically and prove it to his fellow practitioners and to convert people to get along to his way of thinking. And he had to fight against some opposition through that. But you can see the Mars in Libra being in the 11th house of teams and groups and other people and trying to use your friends and influence to build up greater status. That's the 11th house. Friends need to be useful. Trying to influence friends to it's like almost on a crusade to try and influence people to get them to think, to see how he thinks, to show them how to do it, and that it works. And he's independent, he's so confident, but not so social. His nature style is not so. On a 1-1, he'd be so responsive to people. But when he's trying to fit in, there's demands made of things made of him that wouldn't be necessarily what he wanted. So he has some battles that happen around it. So just looking at the planets and the signs and the houses, there's an indecisiveness with that Mars in the Libra. A confusion of values. I wouldn't say necessarily confusion. When you're not sure of a relationship, we're not sure where you're going, we're not sure of the values, why he would be very insecure of his actions. When he would be sure of his values, it would really force him to push it out and show other people what he's doing. So the counselor, to show other people, he has that. And very knows all the roles he would have to play to do that. Not really the teacher. That would be more the 3rd house. Interesting. This is more the psychotherapy, the interaction, behavioral interactions, and how they're affected by whether someone's satisfied or not, whether sexual sex is good or bad, or by sexual impression, by trust, by all the things one expects from sharing. Now, his Mars is trine his Mercury. It doesn't hit Uranus, but it trines his Mercury. So that makes it fairly easy for him to make spontaneous ideas, to act on his ideas. No problem, he got the idea, he'll act on it. But his Mars squares his moon and opposes Jupiter. Okay, squares to Saturn, squares to Saturn and opposes Jupiter. This is actually a T-square, the Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. 2 squares in opposition, they all hold together. Well, Jupiter and Saturn's a restriction, Jupiter's the expansion. So what's responsible, what has to be done, and how to be disciplined to work at what it was doing, that's the Saturn. To the Mars, that's the hard work. The Jupiter to Mars is the extra aggression. It exaggerates to a negative degree one's temper or one's anger or one's impatience. I have to do too much, I have to do too much. And the Venus in Aries wants too much, I gotta go for this. He gets caught in setting up too much more than he can live up to. And he has struggles of being misinterpreted, like of being too assertive and then having to, see, he has this really aggressive, super assertive side of getting impatient, intolerant at people. And yet the Saturn comes in with the ability to control it and discipline it. And his basic nature, even though he sees his independent frustration, he knows how he's supposed to relate to other people, what's valuable and how to relate. So in valuable, his passion and temper, his lack of patience, and the patience is a fight between the two, between adrenaline, aggression, and discipline. He would see the value of discipline and would hold into the discipline side, because whenever he would let the anger come up, it would go too far. It would be too extreme. He'd make enemies. He'd not be liked. It would make him sick almost.